Hi, and welcome to Planet Watch. I'm here with Mary Jane Staudenmann, our resident astrologer. And oh my gosh, we have so much going on this month and in this report. And here comes my cat. Hi, Mary Jane. Welcome.
Hello, Christy. Good to see you again.
Good to see you. So we started off planning this around the entrance of Capricorn on the scene, but we have a lot more going on, don't we?
It's going to be a very, very busy month. I wanted to explain, maybe to help out,
Mhm.
explaining what other planets are going to be doing, explaining what the Capricorn energy basically is, what this really has in store for each year.
Mhm.
Uh, the energy of Capricorn is one of silence. It's one of authority. It's a heavy duty energy sign. It's a cardinal sign. That means it's the beginning of a season. Obviously, the beginning of winter for
Mhm.
us in these latitudes. Uh, the cardinal signs always indicate existence. Other signs indicate using this force. The mutable signs represent analyzing these forces, but the cardinal signs are, they just are. This is the beginning. This is an explosion of energy. And so in Capricorn, while it's very quiet, it's very silent, it's almost unseeable, but it's there. You know, when we think about Capricorns, and one of the symbols of Capricorn is the mountain. The mountain goat is the sign of, is the
Right,
logo of Capricorn.
right.
Think of the mountains that are in perpetual motion, perpetual movement, and it takes eons to notice anything that's been changing, but they're always changing. And this represents the telluric energy of the earth. Capricorn is the cardinal earth sign. This is where we plug in, and represents the perpetual change that happens, uh, that's represented in this particular energy. And
Oh,
that the
wow.
earth is always getting back at us. You know, it's always going to be defending itself and always redoing itself. And so Capricorn is an awesome energy. When planets come into Capricorn, they immediately pick up on this energy of renewal, of growth, of solidity. The other keywords involved with Capricorn are solidity, tenaciousness. Tenacity is so important. You get in there and you hang in for all you're worth. And it's slow. It's a solitary period. It's a period where it's almost like the Aries energy in that it's very ego-centered. But with Capricorn, it's always advancing, always getting up. Elevation is important in the sign of Capricorn. The Aries energy goes straight forward. You know, it's a very horizontal kind of a thing. The elevation involved with Capricorn is upward movement. We're going to the top. There's a notion of ambition and wanting to get ahead in Capricorn that finally shows up in all the planets that visit Capricorn,
I was
as
wondering
we're going to
about
see.
that. I was
Yeah.
wondering about that. So yeah, we're entering into Capricorn on the 22nd of January. It goes
No,
uh,
22nd of December.
December. Sorry
Well,
about that. Yeah,
right away.
22nd December, and then it goes until the 20th of January.
That's right.
So
That's right.
right, and so yeah, I'm thinking of the Capricorns I know, and I'm thinking yeah, mountain goat.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. There is a lot of that. Uh, I'm just looking for my own notes here. Um, yeah, but those are some of the key ideas behind Capricorn, and that will show up, in fact, in all of the attitudes of the planets that are visiting this sign. It's very important.
Right. So what other planets are visiting the sign right now?
Well, Saturn, the sun is going in the ingress, what we call the planetary ingress,
Hmm.
when the sun enters Capricorn. Jupiter has just arrived a few days ago. Changed signs, came from its own sign in Sagittarius, and is going to be acting now in Capricorn. Now, this is important for all kinds of legal movements around us. Jupiter is the planet of already of magistrature, of passing laws, of deciding, making judgments on legal matters and so on. When he's here in Capricorn, he just gets a real stiff aback, and it's really calling for ultimate decisions to be taken. So it's going to be kind of interesting in the United States, in any case, with these various people coming under fire, these various people having to explain themselves, and the legal movements around these explanations are getting heavier and heavier. So it could be very interesting, a very interesting month or two to be seeing what's going on legally in all kinds of all kinds of civilizations and all kinds of societies. We're seeing, as you look around, I love to watch the world news for this, because this is happening in Hong Kong, it's happening in Iran, it's happening still happening in Syria and in the countries there in the Middle East. Voices are rising, the people are restless, and the legal system is getting to be very restless as well. Finally, it's time for closure.
Right.
Heavy duty judgments are taken, and that's what we're going to see a lot of going on again in this period of Capricorn. Of course, our friends Saturn and Pluto are still there. They're going to sit there. Saturn is particularly important because Saturn is the ruling planet of Capricorn.
Okay.
He's the ramrod stiff decider. He's the one who says we or yes or no to whatever choices are being made. Interesting thing about Capricorns. Astrologers love to say that Leos, for instance, are going to lead the parade. Capricorns are going to allow the parade. It's subtle but important.
That's
very
an important
important
distinction. Absolutely, it is. And so
that's what we've got with Saturn and Pluto. This whole whistleblowing society that's been going on for these last 5 years have involved Saturn and the Saturn-Pluto conjunction.
Oh, very
heavy duty.
Oh yeah, very, very interesting. We've seen a lot of that. Just all kinds of things coming to light. Now, so we've got the Capricorn energy, we've got all of that going on, but there's also the solstice on the 22nd.
How
did
the
that
solstice is where the energy bath is swinging. All of a sudden, we've been going, downhill from the equinox as here in the northern latitudes. The days are getting shorter and shorter. The night is getting longer and longer, and all of a sudden, boom! At this solstice time, the rhythm changes. We're going to start seeing more sun. We're going to start seeing things equaling out again, and until the equinox, then in the end of March. So it's a time. This is why all the so many civilizations and also many religions. It's a time of feasting as well. People are looking forward to this swing from dark to light, and it's the Christmas holidays, Hanukkah. Who else is there? Kwanzaa.
Absolutely.
The old Saturnalia was all based on this idea of getting rid of winter. Finally, we're just getting involved in it, but meanwhile we're getting into a new sun.
Absolutely. So that's a big deal. Do you think the solstice will have any bearing on what's going on here in the United States with impeachment?
Well, it's a new, certainly, as I said, we're entering into a new judgmental energy. And I'm thinking that during this month there are going to be new lights. It's a time of new light. There are going to be new lights thrown on some old problems. I think it's going to be a time when especially Mr. Trump, to not name any names, but especially Mr. Trump is going to find some old casseroles hanging off his ass, and in some new time, and some new lights are going to be thrown on some of his old problems. So.
Yeah, I mean, I believe we talked a bit about that on the last Planet Watch
Yeah,
report.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. True enough, Mars is giving a very interesting, very fertile kind of approach to these two planets, to Saturn and Pluto these days. Mars is in a beautiful sextile, which is a very fertile uh, aspect to these other two slow planets, and is going to be adding some spice to the arguments that are going against Trump in the impeachment thing. And I think this is going to be an ongoing, growing situation. So
Oh,
we'll see
really?
how it goes.
We'll see about that. It
Yeah,
certainly is heating up. You know, there's a Chinese curse that says, "May you live in interesting times."
that's what we're doing.
Exactly.
We certainly are. And I, for one, am looking forward to the action of this Mars, who's in Scorpio. He's in his own house, a very potent Mars, who's asking a lot of questions. He's probing. Mars in Scorpio is a researcher. He's probing, 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 and he won't leave this problem alone until there is some closure. The same is true. We'll see this in Hong Kong as well, where the Chinese are not going to get on with their repression of the local population for very much longer.
Yeah, absolutely. That has been going on for quite a while, and it seems it's got to come to a head soon.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think this month is going to be a turnaround for all of these latent, now blooming revolt situations should be coming to a head. I've been worrying about this particular month,
Mhm.
this period of Capricorn, since the last eclipse that happened in Cancer, that happened
Right,
in a sign just opposite. So
right.
it's been 6 months of this threat, finally, and I'm thinking now we're moving into closure, really a closure position.
But we've got
So
another
it's going to
eclipse
be
coming
interesting.
up. We've got another eclipse coming up the 26th of December.
Exactly, exactly. Now, these eclipses, let me just toss in a parenthesis here to explain a little bit how the people get all nervous. Oh, an eclipse, dear, I mustn't go driving. I mustn't do this. It's not a great idea to, be doing a lot of heavy duty planning under the eclipse. But the eclipse itself, the solar eclipse, is like a metronome for the time that's included. It's kind of like a solar return, if you will.
Okay.
It's a metronome for the time between the eclipse and the next eclipse, which is why this last one in July
Yeah.
is becoming caduc. We've used up this energy, but we're getting on to a new paradigm. We're setting up a new situation. A new plot is being laid out. So we're going to be living with this eclipse for a nice long time. But as I said, there's a great concentration of energy here in Capricorn that's going to keep things moving in this eclipse, and I think it's going to be much more telling actually than the last one, which seemed to draw out until today, until right now actually.
Hmm.
So yeah, so let me tell you a little bit about that eclipse.
Yes.
That's going to be happening on the 27th, 26th, 27th of December, depending on where you are in the world. I think in the States, it's the 26th in the late afternoon, whatever. And uh, then the moon is passing exactly over uh, this Saturn Pluto conjunction. It's sitting there and
Right.
just showing up that it's time to get on with this. It's going to be particularly close to this new Jupiter at 4 degrees in Capricorn, and then in a couple of days later it comes over Saturn and Pluto. So this whole eclipse is saying it's now or never, guys. We've just got to get on here. And as this is happening with Saturn and in this period of closure, I think things are going to start moving very fast, especially politically around the world, in fact.
Oh,
So
very.
it's going to be very interesting. At the same time as this
Right.
eclipse, and it's important maybe for people's more personal lives, there's at the same day, there's a very interesting square between Venus, that's in Aquarius these days, and to between Venus and Uranus, which is up in Taurus. These two planets are in what's called a mutual reception. That is, the Venus is living in Uranus's house, and Uranus is living in Venus's house. So you've got these two neighbors that are like throwing flower pots over the fence, and in a square position, they're fighting. They're really fighting. Now, what I'm looking for here, there are several things involved in this particular square. One is on a very personal basis, a very personal level. I think we're going to see a lot of squabbles between couples. There's
Oh,
going to be a rethinking of a lot of marriages, a lot of engagements. There's going to be, yeah, things have to be redecided on a romantic level, also on a monetary level. We'll talk about that in a second. Um, and also on a climate level. It's a very interesting period to be having these climate discussions going on, because all of a sudden people are tapping on the table and saying, no, this cannot go on like this. And it's going to be a period where attitudes are going to be shifting. Changes are going to be made in people's thinking on what I hope is a high level. So after that, this is a period we have to use, and people are going to have to go into these discussions on within their couples, within their families, uh, cool-headed, make proper decisions. I think a lot of people are finding a need for a new independence, and this is why they're coming up against hard-headed partners or unsatisfactory conditions in any case, and saying, no, we can't act like this anymore. Venus finally is moving into, fairly rapidly actually, will be moving into Pisces in a week or two after that, and seems to be setting up a new dream, the realization perhaps of an old relationship that finally comes to the front again. A new dream is being installed. So this period of anger, of really discontent, doesn't last very long, but is going to ease into a whole new situation for a lot of people.
oh,
I would say, get it evened out right now, because you can't call overs in this particular situation. Now, as I said, some of the same upset is going to be happening on the economic front, especially the monetary front. Venus, this square from Venus to Uranus, is involving virtual money. I think a lot of these new systems, the whatever you call those bitcoins and so
Bitcoin.
on, there are
Right.
several that are coming under fire right now, and they're going to have to set up new paradigms in order to work.
Mhm.
I think too, this period of December and January and February as well are going to be important in redefining certain monetary systems, especially virtual monetary systems.
Mhm.
People will want to look very carefully at their portfolios and see to what extent they're overextended, in fact, in these areas, and get ready to shore up their economic financial situations. I think that's going to be important. And as I said, this same exchange involves, because of the Taurus, is going to be important for new dimensions, new directions in the climatology, in the climate talks that are going on right now.
Good.
So that's what I consider maybe the most important aspect going on under this ingress and under this eclipse. Anyway, it's
Oh,
going to be pretty active, as we said.
oh, that sounds interesting. And of course, we've got all of the year-end stuff. We've got, the fiscal year-end stuff for many people. Then we've got the holidays, right?
Yep,
So this
yep.
is a crazy, crazy time.
It's absolutely crazy. Now the Capricorn energy becomes more important, luckily, after the first of the year, and all through January we've got time to see these things. Watching the dust fall. But which is why we can ease into this kind of energy gracefully, have a good time. It's time to have fun with your families and so on. But get ready to take care of business on the 1st of January.
Oh my
as soon
God.
as the as soon as the office is open, it's going to be hot times.
Good advice indeed. Good advice indeed. Now, of course, the solstice is going to affect all of us because we all live through that, and the solar eclipse is going to affect all of us. But like individually in your chart, will the solstice and the upcoming eclipse, will that have different implications for different natal charts?
Oh, of course, that's the whole idea. There's nothing more individual than the natal chart, after all.
Exactly.
And while we have these basic energies that are occurring in the sky, it's adapting these energies to one's life, to one's personal life, and one's uh, individual energetic fields, what's going on, the fields of interest that exist in the natal chart. This is where we bring it all home. This is where we can see how these energies are supposed to be adapted in our lives, in what we want to accomplish and what's looking us in the face anyway. But that, again, you have to come back always to the natal chart and see how these things are going to be adapted.
Right. So there are certain things that are kind of universal, but really, it's best to have your natal chart looked at by a professional astrologer and interpreted
Always.
accordingly to these things that are going on.
Right,
So,
exactly, exactly. Well, for instance, silly example. I've got this Capricorn energy, and the ingress and the solstice as well are all happening in my fourth house. Fourth house is home, huh? This is where I
uh,
have to take care of walls, take care of my closets, take care of this. And I assure you that with this ingress, with this jolt of new energy, it's going to be house cleaning time around here, like big time. Someone else will have at the same time. It's kind of interesting that I'm ending my second career in dental hygiene right now.
right,
So it's all coming home. It's all happening now, and I've got to get my ducks in a row and see how the rest is going to shake out. But it's about taking care of one roots. In my case, someone else will have to take care of his situation at work,
right.
and this solstice existing between the 6th and 12th house, for instance, can cause someone to need to look into physical and health issues. This could be the start of a new therapy, for instance.
Right.
It's also with this it's interesting for people who have the 6th house interest, because Scorpio, the Mars in Scorpio, is a period of taking tests, of doing diagnosis, of seeing what's going on, also entering into what could be a very useful therapy, corrective therapy.
Right.
So go see where you can use this energy, or where the energy is going to be using you uh, in the natal chart. That's the best idea.
That's a great idea. And I just have to ask, I know you're retiring in what is it, a day and a half?
Yes,
Yes, but who's counting,
yes.
right? You're retiring in a day and a half. And did you plan the date of your retirement around these solar events?
Um, Actually, I think the events plugged me in, which is often the case. I don't look at my own chart every day. I don't have time. But in my case, it all happened together. Among other things, my boss's office is closing as well, so I was going to be on the street anyhow. He told me about that the day that I told him that I was quitting. So, the stars just kind of organize themselves to put everybody on the right track. And I've always thought that I was fairly lucky in feeling the energies around me and using them. So I don't know if I can say I planned it around this equinox or this solstice, but that's the way it's shaped up. So I'm just as happy.
I love
I'm
when the
just
universe does that. I mean, you can't make this up. The
No,
universe
really
always
not.
has our back.
Really not. Really not. I've been reading all this fall on what's sort of the umbrella term of synchronicity. And
Sure.
it's all about, I mean, astrology is that, it's
Yeah.
why what we do here on Earth is so incredibly synchronized with what's going on in the sky. And again, for each one according to his program. Yeah, it just, I have trouble explaining it, but I just love living it. It's really
Absolutely.
excellent.
I did a whole series of Facebook Lives about living a spirit guided life. And most
Yes,
of living a spirit guided life has to be with keeping your eyes open and taking advantage of synchronicities, watching for the
exactly.
synchronicities, right?
Exactly. That's the whole name of the game, as close as I can see, and it's involving just having faith in the universe finally, and just going with the flow.
Absolutely. This has been so interesting. We scheduled this, and I knew that solstice was coming up. I knew Capricorn's coming up. I guess the solar eclipse had on the 26th had slipped my mind or slipped my radar. So we've just got so much going on here, and I think that this is really important information that we have going into the new year. I'm planning to do a class with Kathy on just releasing what's going on,
Ah,
what we've lived, releasing 2019, starting 2020 with a clear slate,
right,
right?
right. Oh, excellent. Yeah. Well, this eclipse happening right here at the end of the year. Again, it's a new metronome. It's a new script, and it's an excellent time to be doing this house cleaning. Go back and see what's been going on for these 6 months since the last eclipse. We talked about all the threats and the false promises. See if they're coming home now. See what's happening. And I can tell you that this eclipse in any case looks like an open door. It looks a lot more like something that we can use and build on. That's the whole
Yeah.
idea of Capricorn anyway, is construction, solid.
All right. Thank you so much for putting these things into perspective and letting us know how what's going on in the sky really affects our lives, because it does, not just our lives, but the entire world. So we can see these movements
For sure.
going on across the world and how they're, what starts out off planet is coming home to this planet.
Exactly. Exactly. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you as well.
Well, thank you. We'll talk to you soon in January
Yes, I'll see you in Aquarius.
in Aquarius. Sounds good. Thank you.